Africa, say it louder. Say Salam alaikum, assalamu alaikum, salam alaikum, assalamu alaikum, salam alaikum, assalamu alaikum, salam alaikum, assalamu alaikum. We fight, we fall, all we need freedom. All we need is love. Free from slavery, free from slavery, free as a permanent slavery, free as a permanent slavery, free as a permanent slavery, free from slavery, free from slavery. Yeah. We're here to speak the word. We're here to stop the war. We're here to speak the word. We're here. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, whatever you tune in today. This is Concerned Citizen of South Sudan, live on Sunday, May 22nd, 2022. Our guest today on this very important episode is Dr. Akin Coach, the former Sudanese ambassador to the United States and the first South Sudanese ambassador to the United States as well. Will join us here momentarily, and we'll be talking about this very important topic tonight. As I said, dear viewers of Concerned Citizen of South Sudan, welcome to the show, your forum, Concerned Citizen of South Sudan, as usually live today to discuss the issue of pastoralists, cattle headers of Jungle and State, and peasant of former and local communities in Magawi County of Eastern Equatoria State. On Wednesday, May 11, 2022, and Thursday, May 12, 2022 as well, Magawi Payam of Eastern Equatoria State witnessed a tragic event and violence escalation as 35 people were killed, mostly women, children, elderly people during the attack. An attack was carried out by an armed youth group from Greater Bibor administrative area who raided 10,000 head of cattle. The governor of Eastern Equatoria, Louis Lebon Lejore, said, "It is a tragic," said in his statement, in a public statement last Saturday, that the attacker were from Greater Bibor administrative area. And the chief of General Bibor administrative locally, Ami Bolin, denied the allegation labeled by his administrative. In this episode, we shall look into the reason why pastoralists move from Jonglei State into Central and Eastern Equatoria. Do they go there looking for the pastures? If the answer is yes, another question will be asked. Don't they have a pasture in Jonglei, in the areas of Wenglei, Matiang, Baidit, and Sudan Safari? If the answer is no, why do they leave the green pasture of Jonglei? Can they graze their cattle in the pasture of Jonglei? Are there any logic reason behind their influx into the two states of Central and Eastern Equatoria? How can the violence can be de-escalated so that peace, security are maintained? How can the escalating violence be de-escalated in amidst challenges of ethnic division in the country? As I said, from this, I will pose these questions and other to our guest today. As I said from the beginning, Dr. Akin Koit, the former ambassador, Sudanese ambassador to the United States, and the first ambassador of South Sudan to the United States. And you may not know this, Dr. Akin actually is a medical doctor by profession, and he was a director of medical crop within the SPLM during the struggle. And also, he is a retired general from the SPLM. So with that, I would like to welcome Dr. Akin here to our forum concerned citizens of South Sudan to discuss this very important topic tonight. Ambassador, doctor, and I like to call you a doctor because you are a medical doctor. Welcome to Concerned Citizen of South Sudan. And actually, I want to give you a podium to greet our viewers today before we start our discussion. Please, welcome.
Thank you very much, brother Junkur Mayol, for the hosting you are doing and for inviting me to be part of the show today with a few others to talk on the topic that we have elaborated to our audience. I'm delighted to be on this show of Concerned Citizens. I hope and I think it is going to be the first time, and let me hope that it will not be the last time. Secondly, I would like to thank the audience that are in attendance now and others who are going to come for listening, for sharing their opinions, for giving questions, because this is an interactive discussion. I don't like to monopolize the talk. Before I get to what I want to say, I would like to pass my condolences to all the South Sudanese people, not only in Eastern Equatoria and Jonglei, who have lost loved ones, but in all other parts of South Sudan, any life that is lost is so dear to all of us. Without their blood, we will not have become an independent country and have our flag and position among the nations at the United Nations. I want to make my talk in the following manner. Number one, I will have a little introduction, which is going to lead me to a short discussion, opening remarks about the topic you have brought forward. Conflict between Dinkabur, cattle headers, and farmers in Eastern Equatoria might extend to Central Equatoria, and conflict in general, going to history. And then I'll want to propose some options for solution. I'll make one option as a short-term, immediate, and make longer-term proposal, and then open up for question and answer and comments before I come to conclude. So if that is acceptable, I hope I have the permission of all the listeners, then, and you, the host, then I can go ahead.
Yeah, actually, Ambassador Dr. Mukhadram, I call you Mukhadram. Now you serve 2 terms as Ambassador of United Sudan to United States, and the first Ambassador of South Sudan to the United States. I will have some questions, and then yes, you can come up with also what you have, and you want to propose the solution. No problem, that would be good. I have some question to you to ask you, and then from there we move on as well. I don't know that that's okay, but this is the way I wanted to go. So
okay.
Yeah. So with
okay,
that,
we can proceed with the questions. I saw that
yes,
whatever I had prepared can come in that way.
exactly. No problem. No problem at all. Well, Dr. Mr. Ambassador, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for coming to Concerned Citizen of South Sudan, this forum. This forum actually is to educate, and doing more advocacy to the people of South Sudan, so people can be aware of the issues that's pressing in our beloved country that is bleeding at the moment. As I did my introduction, Dr. K, on this issue, I wanted to go ahead and ask you, why do the cattle herders from Jonglei state leave Jonglei and go to central and eastern Equatoria state? Do they go there because they are looking for pastures or their cattle, or they scared of insecurity, frequent cattle raids in Jonglei state? Do they have pasture in Wanglei, Matiang, Baidid, and Sudan Safari? Do they have those? Are there any logical reason behind their influx into the 2 states of Central and Eastern Equatoria? So I think it's a combination of questions that I'm asking you. I want to give you an opportunity to answer. And Ambassador, you may mix it. If you wanted to mix it in Arabic, that's up to you. But now I yield the microphone to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for the question. This is a question that has been in the minds of many South Sudanese. And there are very many answers to the question. My first response will be this.
Yes.
The cattle herders from Jonglei state left the area to eastern and central Equatoria for one main reason, which is it is not looking for pastures alone or looking for water, because these are all abundant in Jonglei, as you have clearly indicated, including the areas you have not mentioned north of Matiang up to the last part of Dinkabur, which is in Duk. That area
and
is full of good grazing land and watering points. And the people have been there for years. So they are not living because of this now. They are living because for quite some time there has been a disease killing cattle and goats and sheep in that area which you mentioned in particular. It is not the floods that came recently. There were floods in the 60s when the Aswan High Dam was built. There was bad pressure on the Nile, and the area in Bor got flooded. So some of the people left at that time because of floods, and they went to Terkaka, to Jameza, that area of Eastern Equatoria, of Central Equatoria. Some of them went to eastern Equatoria. This time, it is the disease which is killing the cattle in large numbers, which force some of the herders, the owners of the cattle, to move to look for a safer place. And they have found إنه أي منطقة في استوائية المرض ده ما موجود فيها، والبقر بتاعتهم بتكاثر بالعددية كبيرة وبيعيش أطول وبيجيب لبن أكثر. ف many of the factors الواحد بيطلب في حياته مربوط بالبقر كله are found in that area. That's why they moved there. Yes, some people say في خوف من مرلي. I think even if it is a factor, يعني لو في ناس خايفين مع مشاكلنا مع جيراننا have been in existence في فترة طويلة جدا. لكن الناس ما راحوا. فيعني it is not the major factor الخلل الرعاة to leave منطقة بور عشان يمشوا لإيسترن إكواتوريا وسنترال إكواتوريا وكده. المين فاكتور في المرض الموجود في المنطقة وده اكتشفوه أطباء بيطريين ألمانيين من بدري يعني. فالشيء ده معروف والدواء بتاعته يمكن اتجد لكن ما وصل للمنطقة الفيها المرض، ما وصل لبور. ف you remember brother جونكور انه during struggle ايام الحرب
نعم
SPLA ضد حكومة السودان.
نعم
الرعاة بتاع جنكبور راحلوا ومشوا أبعد من إيسترن إكواتوريا وسنترال إكواتوريا، وصلوا ويسترن إكواتوريا وقعدوا فيها because of الفوائد. لكن eventually حصل اختلاف بين المزارعين والرعاة. فحكومة تعجل الرعاة عشان يرجعوا للمنطقة بتاعتهم. So it is not the first time for people to move out of the state because of these reasons. لأنه ما كان insecurity. المواطنين بتاع منطقة جونغلي كان لسه في محلاتهم، لكن ناس الرعاة بس هم الفاتوا بالبقر. So that would be my simple question. It is not looking for pasture ولا موية، وما كان ما من الخوف، ما insecurity. حتى ولو بقى element it is not the major element. يمكن يكون contributing factor لكن it is not the major element. This is the little answer I can give about that.
Thank you, Doctor. Now, the issue of cattle herders from Jonglei State and peasants of Central and Eastern Equatorial State has been continuously an issue of public concerns. Community leaders have attempted several times to address and solve it, but there have been no tangible and lasting solution for these problems. This issue was raised to the presidency in 2015, 2016, and 2017. President Salva Kiir himself issued a presidential decree ordering all the cattle herders to move back to Jonglei, but no avail at all. Also, Michael Makwelwet, Minister of Information, together with Honorable Dr. Dao Malek, Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, were recently, heard asking the cattle herders to go back to Jonglei State before the national government sent soldiers to force them out of two states. But nothing was done so far until now. All these things are a reflection of lack of seriousness by the national government. Now, what is the solution to this problem in your view, Doctor?
Thank you so much. Yes, it is not the first time the government and the people, the community of Dinkabur in Juba, in other towns, discuss the matter. زي ما قلت في الأول قبل إنه حتى الرعاة كانوا وصلوا لمندري لوستن إكواتوريا. فلما الحكومة قرر إنه لازم يرجعوا، حكومة رسل قوة من الجيش عشان يساعدهم في المشي حتى to cross the Nile جوبا ذاته عشان الكوبري to go to the other part. فالcommunities بتاعت دينكابور have seen the problem which has been arising everywhere in any society, in any community where there are farmers living side by side مع رعاة دائما بيكون في conflict. يعني الكلام ده is not only limited لدينكابور و Eastern Equatoria farmers ولا Central Equatoria farmers. within دينكابور البقر في ناس who are farming and the cattle live not far and they get to their fields and destroy them. يبقى the farmers and the cattle herders have agreed to find what could be a solution. يعني لو واحد خلى البقرة بتاعته تمشي لمزرعة بتاع زول، الناس بتقعد ويقدروا المهال البقر ده كربوا by how much can it be assessed and the cattle herders usually pay without any problem because they live on the cattle and the farmer lives on the produce of his farm. They both need each other. They both need to survive. فإذا البقر بتاعك خرب مزرعة بتاع الزول لازم تعوضه. ففي تعويض معروف. لما الناس جو لإيسترن إكواتوريا they did explain the same thing and they do it لو حصل. Today there might be other elements. Let me not touch it. لكن I want to say the communities زي ما ذكرت تحت القيادة بتاعت مولانا مكوي الواد who is the community chairman بتاعت دينكابور كله. عضوية ناس سيد نائب وزير الخارجية دينغ داو ملك and many others. They have agreed, it is better for the community to move back with their cattle عشان ما يكون في
conflicts
ضياع لأرواح بتاع الناس, whether they are from Dinkabur or from Equatoria. We need them in South Sudan. Whether the crops, we need them because, brother Junkur, بدون البروديوس ده جنوب ما كان طلع.
Correct.
So we want to preserve the lives who can defend South Sudan now and in the future, wherever they come from, all over South Sudan. We don't want to see anybody die unless it is not preventable. Like if it is a preventable course, we'll work by all means to avoid it. فدينكابور are advised to leave. لكن انت عارف دائما في اي مجتمع ما كل الناس اللي بيقبلوا حتى بالمنطق بيكون في ناس يعني متطرفين و opposed to anything. فلو في ناس ما دارين يمشوا بالبقرة بتاعتهم, it is difficult for the community to enforce. The community does not have the ability to enforce its decision on أي مواطن. بيحاول يقنع, لكن لو وزول ما اقتنع, it is supposed to be الحكومة to help. المرة فات لما البقر وصل من Western Equatoria, they refused to move from Central Equatoria and they fought الجيش اللي كان مشوا عشان يوصلهم. القيادة بتاع اللواء دن at that time القائد ويلسون دين كويروت. Today he's our ambassador to South Africa. القوة بتاعته they fought with المواطنين رعاة البقر. قتلوا منهم, قتلوا من الجيش وقتلوا من المواطنين من الرعاة. because أفراد رفضوا. ناس اللي وصلوا لهادي بور رجعوا because they found that they were losing their cattle in very high numbers. They all came back to Eastern Equatoria. So that is the little answer I could give. I don't know whether it is satisfactory, but if there is a follow-up question, I'm willing to discuss it with you.
Yeah, Ambassador, you are correct. But at the same time, yes, the community sometimes they can have some people, who are not even using logic. They are not rational when they are told. But in that particular case, can the government intervene and enforce? Because عارفين الحكومة هي السلطة التنفيذية موجودة في البلد, والسلطة التنفيذية لابد أن ينفذ لو القرار طلع. Why can't they enforce it? Why can't government enforce that then? If the community leaders, who are respectively, they are part of the government, why the government is not enforcing it?
That would be difficult for me to answer.
Yeah.
For two reasons.
Yes.
When the government decided to intervene and enforce القرار بتاعتها إنه الناس يرحلون من Western Equatoria من مدري لحد حدود بتاع جونغولي, it was done. والجيش مشى together مع المواطنين لحد وصلوا جوبا. Some decided to go southwards. And when the government was determined, it was done. When they left, by then, Kwal Manyang was the governor in Jonglei. Kwal Manyang asked for another force to help take back the cattle from eastern Equatoria, from eastern Equatoria, and from central Equatoria to Bor. But it did not happen. Is the government reluctant? Is the government encouraging cattle headers to disobey? By what means? Well, I don't know. Is the government serious to help create harmony between al-Muwatinin, host communities, al-farmers, Eastern Equatoria and Central Equatoria, or doesn't it care? Diamond, when there were conflict issues arising between the different communities, Zaman Hakuma Diamond Alkan بيحاول to manage and find methods to resolve it in a peaceful way. Until during Al-Haraka, the government decided to shift to a different policy of encouraging Muwatanin to fight among themselves or creating militias with SPLM, SPLA. Is this what our current government is doing or not? بخلي واحد يسأل نفسه هل مواصلين مع السياسات بتاعت حكومة السودان القديم ولا نسينا how to resolve the issues? Are we determined to resolve the issues peacefully ولا لا? A national dialogue الحصل قريب, even if it were not inclusive, created conditions in UNAS to sit down community by community and discuss and dialogue. Solutions can be found if somebody is serious in finding them.
Yes.
But I would not want to say that المواطن من الجنوب من منطقة Jonglei, Dinkabur in particular, I know there are many communities from Jonglei, are not willing to go back. Nobody is encouraging them to go back. Can this be a proposal? I don't know. So, يمكن يكون السبب.
Thank you. We'll appreciate it. Yes, I wonder. No wonder President Salva Kiir himself هو قال أنا بعد أنا ما بتدخل. أنا جيش بتاعي البسيط ده أنا بيحوض نفسي وأنتوا تشاكلوا ولما نزول تردوا بعدين يجيني يلا بعد كده هو يجري لي وما يقول هو راجل. So no wonder that actually the government, the current government is encouraging, يكون في فوضى في كل أرجاء البلد, because I have seen from what I observed in this administration that actually they survive when there is more division, when there is more killing all across the country. I wonder. Nobody can wonder, what's happening in our country. So thank you so much, Mr. Ambassador. Let me move forward here. If we go back in 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, up to 2015 and 2017, the concern of persons and communities of Eastern Equatoria, particularly Central Equatoria State, was that cattle were destroying their crops, their farms, and their agricultural produce. But with negative political development in the country over the time, the issue took a different dimension since late 2018 till now. It is now looked at from different social and political angle as we talk here today. There are fears that local communities in central and eastern and western Equatoria will lose their land in the long run. This means that there will be a demographic change, and they have been talking about that in social media as well, demographic change in the region. Besides, the cattle herders are seen as a weapon used by the Dinka elite in the national government for causing insecurity in the region and indirectly displace the civil population from their ancestral land. Dr. Akej, what is your comment on this? How can you address this fear in a way that will maintain peace in the area?
This is a 1 million question.
Thank you.
I did allude to political involvement as one of the causes to the conflict. Because if we go back, very far back in history, maybe my grandfathers and the generation of my fathers used to bring their cattle to Equatoria. By then, there was no eastern or central or western. It was one region. And they created a kind of mutual benefit to each other. Friendships were established, agreements were made.
Yes.
يعني community مثلا نقول community بتاعت النيدي ولا نقول community بتاعت كونيان. عندهم areas where they come during the dry season in agreement with the chiefs of those areas. They come and they cross to the torch and they live harmoniously with the farmers. لأنه في صيف المنداري والباري بيزرعوا في توش، بيزرعوا شريف وكسب سكر so many other things at that time. And the people used to go and delimit البقر ده بياكل وين وبيشرب وين. And if ever there was a problem, it was resolved بصورة أنا اللي حكيته قبل شوية. Every year people will come and go بدون conflict. ولمن المشكلة يتسيس زي ما ذكرت قبل في الأول during the conflict بتاعت SPLA مع حكومة السودان, then you never resolve it. التسييس بتاعت مشاكل بين communities from that time by creating militias against other communities is what probably, this is what I see is continuing. And this is what has been picked up by different community representatives. لكن if you go to the villages حتى في مقوي you hear إنه المواطن المزارع ولا herdsman they understand each other and they are cooperating. But the politics is playing a big role. Politics at different levels, at local level, at maybe state level or county level, or national level. But there are people who are genuinely trying to find solution.
Yes.
لكن there are others who are trying يخطوا فرامل في solution الناس بيحاولوا يجدوه. So unfortunately ولحد ما نطلع على حواجز داخل الحكومة اللي بيمنعوا حلول سلبية أو بطرق سليمة non-violent means until we eliminate those people or change the whole government if it is a government policy. Because when a government wants to do something, they do it.
Correct.
زي ما حصل في after the agreement. يعني الرعاة could not leave from Western Equatoria if no politics and awareness, if no awareness was done to them. But people went and told them the bad outcome that can come from their continued stay in that area, and the support for the government and so many things within the local population. But they accepted. They are human beings, and they left. If the government could do it yesterday, why can't it do it today?
Correct.
Unless there is a change of heart, a change of policy, or there is much more influence by elements who do not want a peaceful solution and peaceful coexistence between two communities or the communities involved. So that would be my it may be prolonged, lakin
indeed.
I thought it was what I should say.
Yeah, I really appreciate you. لأنه لو في will, if there is a will للقائمين بالأعمال في البلد, and then there will be a solution. Unless there is no will whatsoever. البلاد دي كلها, الدنيا دي كلها. You live in the United States. I am far northwest in the United States. In Texas, there's a lot of farms and there is a lot of cattle. The cattle that they have in Texas are more than what we have in South Sudan. But they were yes, they were able to manage because there is a good government, there is state government. He knows how to deal with all these ranches and all this. في المزارعين, في الرعاة, في Texas. And they were able. But it goes back to willingness to solve the problem. But when you are using the problem that existed, to suppress or to create more problem, like you said, to politicize the issues, that's where we have this problem. And now, as we speak now, there are books have been written. And people are taking these books as just as a gift, and then they start preaching it. There will be a demographic change because the government here is not doing their job. And people here with their own political agenda, they are using their own thing. And that's why the issue of demographic, they are not seeing any solution happening in الأرض الواقع. And then they say, oh, well, this is a policy actually has been introduced to bring about demographic change in the region. And if we are not being carefully as a citizen of that country, and then our country will be disintegrated. And that's not what we are looking for. This is a country for generation and generation to come. So thank you, for giving this good, solid information. Now, if I may follow up with this question, what is your comment? Because it seems like the national government has failed. What is your comment on that? Government failed for finding a lasting solution to this problem. What's your comment on that?
Well, my comment will be simple. A government is installed to protect the citizens, to serve them, to protect their properties, to make them live peacefully, happily, and to develop. Injustice, with respect to human rights and so many things. Unfortunately, I am not seeing it happening. I'm not seeing it happening. And if I'm not seeing it happening, it means the government has يعني خلت المسؤولية بتاعتها خالص. She's no longer taking its responsibilities and dealing with them. يبقى, why should it stay in power? To do what? Zaman, when الجنوب and other parts of Sudan, including the north and Khartoum, when they realized that Nimeri was not doing what he was supposed to be doing, they rebelled. They talked out. They did demonstrate. They talked in newspapers, في الجرايد, في التلفزيون, في حاجات كثيرة اتكلموا. It is what led the SPLA to take up the arms and has lost so many people. But eventually they achieved what they wanted to make. Change the government to respect its obligations, protect the people and their properties, develop the areas. So if we did it, the مش عشان Nimeri was a North Sudanese. We wanted services for all the Sudanese, not a part of the Sudanese. So today, I would say, unfortunately, our current government and its leadership has been influenced by so many elements who might not have the objective with our liberation in mind. So I think we need to look towards other forces to come to implement what we have been hoping for, what we have been calling for over the years. Students have demonstrated, populations have demonstrated. الكانوا جيش الشعبي مجدعين في شوارع جوبا، ملكال، واو، وين، توريد، يامبيو، بور، كله. So I hope, number one, that the government today will learn from those mistakes and change. But if it doesn't change, the people of South Sudan are likely to get fed up and make a change. Whatever it will cost, it will happen. So that would be my little comment.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ambassador Kate. With the failure of the previous attempts to solve the problem, and I mean here attempts by the community leaders in 2017, presidential decree, frequent calls by Central and Eastern Equatoria state government on the national government to solve the problem. The frustrated political activists from the area have been publicly heard calling on the people in the area to kill the cattle herders. And last week alone, I should say 2 weeks ago, on Wednesday, May 11, 2021, and Thursday, May 12, 2022, Magui County of Eastern Equatoria State witnessed a violent escalation when armed youth group attacked cattle camps in Mugli and killed more than 35 people, including women and children. Now, is the killing of the local community members by the pastoralists or killing of the pastoralists by the local community peasant, is it a solution to the problem? Also, as the violence escalated in Eastern Equatoria State, the state governor, Honorable Louis Lobong Lejore, issued a press statement on Saturday, May 14, in which he clarified what happened and disclosed that the attacker who attacked the cattle herders in Mugli are armed youth group which came from Greater Pibor administrative area. That's what he said. The government of Eastern Equatoria State has since then been calling on the cattle herders, their community leaders, and their government to take cow back to their areas of origin for the sake of peace. The cattle herders headed not to call or plea for their leaders, unquote. Correspondingly to Eastern Equatorial Government, Dr. Angung Gordon Kwal, chairperson of Boer Community, on Thursday, May 12, 2022, issued a statement. On Saturday, May 14, in which he stated that the following: we are profoundly saddened and shocked by the recent attack on innocent civilians in Mugwi, which happened on Wednesday, 11 May 2022, around 4:35 a.m. This senseless attack resulted in civilian casualties. Attackers made their way with a huge number of cattle, abducted children. These numerous attackers are carried out by the youth organized and facilitated by the government of Eastern Equatoria State. The youth in their area are heavily armed to raid cattle and innocent civilians, even though those civilians have started leaving the area in a response to the demand by indigenous communities in the state, unquote. The statement by the Boer community, of course, the government of Eastern Equatoria being behind the violence escalation in Mugwi County. What is your take on this? I read a lot of statements, Mr. Ambassador. I read a statement from the Louis Lebong, the governor of Eastern Equatoria. I read a statement by Dr. Angok, who is the Boer community chairman in Juba. So now, what is your take in the word of Governor Louis Lebong and the word of chairperson of Boer community, Dr. Angok Gordon? Governor Lebong said in his press statement following: I would like to make it clear that the unfortunate situation in Mugwi County of Eastern Equatoria State is the result of influx of cattle herders, raiders from the greater Jonglei region. The people of Eastern Equatoria State are suffering from the conflicts is transferred from the greater Jonglei region of Eastern Equatoria. So now, the question that I wanted to say, Louis Lobong Lejore is saying that the result that happened, people were killed because actually they've been here and they don't want to leave. One. At the same time, the chairperson of Boer community in Juba is saying that Louis Lobong Lejore are the one behind the attack. How can the violence in this way be de-escalated so that the peace and security can be maintained? And above all, I want to respond on the statement by the governor and the statement by board community leader in Juba. Go ahead. So many things that I've said.
Okay. Thank you. I will start with the statement by the Honorable Governor of Eastern Equatoria State.
Mm.
In the recent past,
Mm.
there were meetings held in Pibor, where the chief administrator of Greater Pibor area invited colleagues and friends, maybe from Eastern Equatoria and Central Equatoria. And he wanted ways and means for cooperation between the three communities to help Greater Pibor area. Now, Luis Lobong Lojore, Governor Luis, was one of the people who said that is a question which is going to be difficult for him to answer. It must be a community-based answer. And a few days later, the community came out to say they are not going to accept or allow Greater Pibor youth to be moving or to be helped in propagating conflict في أماكن تانية. لكن بالتحليل مضمون الكلام ده كله إنه الكيف administrator بتاع Greater Pibor كان بيطلب دعم أو مساعدة عشان يعملوا activities across the borders.
Yes.
If Governor Luis Lobong and immediately بعدك Governor Luis Lobong مشي زار cattle camps. وبعديه بالأسبوع حصل هجوم في شهر 3 حصل هجوم للمعسكرات. فهل هو كان فري من التخطيط لهجومات دي ولا كان جزء لا يتجزأ من تخطيط الهجوم؟ يس، الناس بتاعته تعبانين وزعلانين من المواطنين. لكن لو في عامل جاي from somewhere هل تقدر تساعده؟ My comment on his statement is that his statement is a screen smoke to deny involvement بتاع حكومته وحكومة مناطقه. But community ولا youth بتاع Greater Pibor الجو attacked and took large number of cattle.
Yeah, 10,000.
أيوة. Okay. معقول 10,000 cows to move from Magui without being identified even by the local population? ما ممكن. It is not possible. So I want to say that probably the good governor of Eastern Equatoria is unfortunately facilitating the conflict to occur and to extend. Conflict spills over. So if you are encouraging it on somebody, you might be indirectly be a victim of that thing. But it is to me, it is not fair for him to make that statement, because I assume I have no evidence to say that he could have facilitated or could have allowed. Like in the flagrant failure to identify and to the moving 10,000 heads of cattle with the people moving with them, and to stop them is not possible. فهو وحكومته unfortunately المواطنين are involved in propagating, in helping the conflict to continue, and nobody will benefit from it. دكتور أنغو مضمون كلامه that الكلام بتاع والي is not in his place. It might be agreed by many. I'm not in a position to contradict what he said. Lakin, I'm not doing that as a community, as a member of that board community. I'm here as a South Sudanese who's looking at possible ways and means for our people to live together in peace and harmony, to develop South Sudan, and for each one to benefit from whatever he does or she does, and to preserve lives. So I want all of us to work not by escalating, not by revenging. Revenge will never end, and it will lead to destruction and loss of lives, which I regret from any side. I want to say كلام بتاع دكتور أنغوك ده كلامه كان صح كان غلط. ده بيكون كلام بتاع community بتاعته. لكن comrade Luis Lobong Lojore as a governor عنده سلطة بتاع حكومة should not have allowed or facilitated cattle raiders from the Murle youth or from Greater Pibor to come to that area and to go back freely. Because this is not right. So I take it not upon him alone. I take it upon him and the central government. That failure بتاعتهم مع بعض. الجفرمنت بتاع ايسترن إكواتوريا والحكومة المركزية في جوبا.
Yes.
So that is my comment.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Okay, you're right. Too wrong don't make it right. And if we want to solve the problem, we cannot add fuel on it, because government is the government, whether it's a local government or it's a national government. You are there to protect citizens. And as they said, on the law, I'm not a student of law. They said, المتهم بريء أمام العدالة until proven guilty, right? Until حتى يثبت إدانته أمام المحكمة. Because you hear something happen and something has been happening, then وانت في مكان تزول مسؤول, you cannot say, oh, this is the result of people not listening. That's alone, it will make people wonder what you have done. You have done something, because this is not coming from a blue. انت لما تقول يا أخي الانسيدنت happened امبارح, ده نتيجة بتاع انه ناس قاعدين انه ما قادرين يمشوا. That's alone. I wouldn't hope انه the local government will do this. We know national government fail actually to protect the citizen, and local government. If these people, you are a host, and these people are under your protection, and then you can follow the legal way until we get to resolve. Nobody is happy what happened in Eastern and Central Equatoria, and we have been here in social media all the time, talking about these issues. But anyhow, it happened, but we are seeking for a solution, a lasting peace for the community to coexist. That's what we are yearning for a very long time. Mr. Ambassador, Dr. Akej, I want you to send message you send to the local communities in Eastern Equatoria and Western Equatoria and Central Equatoria. What is your message to them? And also a message to officials, message to cattle herders as well. Go ahead.
Thank you. Let me start with the message to the cattle herders.
Yes.
From Jonglei, who are in Eastern Equatoria and Central Equatoria. My message is for them to accept the advice from their community elders, leaders, opinion makers, including Dr. Ongu, the chairperson of the Boer community worldwide. They need to move away so as to preserve lives. We need these lives in the future. The people we lose today could help if there is an external problem. زي ما حصل في وقت بتاعت SPLA. Every community. I was one of the officers في بوشالا ودائما ضابط سياسي بيخلق علاقات بين البيبور كوميونيتي مع أنواع كوميونيتي مورلي كوميونيتي وأنواع كوميونيتي. If the Murle are coming to areas where their cattle can graze and drink during the dry season, I would go and negotiate with them, with other officers. وكده. At times, you find very angry Anuak people saying, when the Murle come, they have a good negotiating spirit. When they leave, it is violence. We are not going to allow them to come this time. But we insisted every time, and they came and they left. And they came the next year. But there must be an end to something. If the end is so many lives being lost, what is more important? البقر الواحد الممكن يموت في منطقة بور. It is, you lose a cow today, you gain another cow tomorrow. But when you lose a life, you never get it again.
Correct.
Yebga, it is better for them to go to protect lives. Not because they have been defeated, not because they are afraid, not because they want to show that Huma Rujal, but they can go and face whatever adversary الموجود في المنطقة بتاعتهم. No. لكن it is to preserve lives بتاعت أي مواطن جنوب السودان so that nobody dies, nobody does anything. But that would be my first advice. And I've been doing it when I was in Juba. I've been saying this to the people in the cattle camps that I know. My other advice will go to the communities that are
Eastern and Central Equatoria.
Eastern and Central, the farmers. As an SPLA officer, يمكن أنا ما مشيت إكواتوريا إلا لاجتماعات، لكن أنا ما قمت بعمليات anywhere في إكواتوريا. أنا عشت في على النيل، في بوتشالا where I was a deputy commanding officer, and we depended on the Anua community providing us with whatever they have. And Zura بدينا، عنده لالو بدينا، عنده سمك بدينا كده. ف whatever is الإنتاج بتاع المواطن ده we should not spoil it, otherwise we are destroying our country.
Correct.
So I want to tell them, please continue doing your work. We hope إنه الحكومة will facilitate a departure بتاعت
Cattle herders.
cattle herders. We need this peace between them and the cattle herders. لأنه we need each other as citizens of the same country and as children of God. Love each other. There is no way for us to show that we have the same faith when we fight as if we are fighting infidels ولا كده. I want them, I'm not saying, I'm not justifying that they need to send away the Dinkabor. I want to say what you have said has been heard. الناس كلها ثم المطلب بتاعكم، وودر مسؤولين من community بتاع دينكابور ولا في حكومة ولا مواطن says now let us cease fire, let us stop fighting among ourselves, and let us go back to the Dinkabur area. Rest assured, wait peacefully for the departure بتاع الناس ديل مع البقر بتاعتهم، لأنه they are not going to live alone. أول البقر بتاعتهم is not going to live alone. They are going to live البقر والناس. فالناس مع بقر مش الناس القاعدين في مدن، لأنه these are different people يعني. I want them, or I advise them, to be calm, rethink, reassure themselves, and hope for the near future. Better days are coming, worse days are going away. That would be my advice to the communities بتاعنا. We have lived together for quite a long time. يمكن يكون في ناس هسه في بور من Eastern Equatoria they are going about their business. I remember يعني لما اتخرجت دكتور من الجامعة، المحافظ بتاعنا من البري بنستو لورا وناس بور at that time الموظفين الكبار الجيل الجديد ونحن المتوسطين وأساس إنه لو في أحسن محافظ مرة ببور لا محافظ يس لأنه بور كان محافظ جنجلي لو كان في أحسن محافظ بيكون هو بعديه جاء another good person منو من منطقة النوير why is his name running away somebody judge لأنه كان بيزور أي منطقة لو في مشكلة حتى في وقت بتاع الفيضانات بيمشي كداري بيسأل المنطقة بيقعد بيفهم بيستمع ل advices on solution لكن Ernesto Loro was the best of all of them. Okay, so we are one people. We need to continue to be united. لو ما في unity, we cannot achieve anything. I don't want you to forget, لكن I want you to leave it aside for the time being, the conflict between two communities, and go ahead. We have to move forward with something. Unity أهم من أي حاجة. الخرب خرب، لكن أنت كزول هاي هتجيب نتائج أحسن. My advice to the government مش كده؟
Yes, and actually with that أنا داير أضيف حاجة فيه. لأنه الرعاة الموجودين في Eastern Equatoria not only simple people alone, you know, Mr. Ambassador. لأنه average South Sudanese, whether from Jonglei, من Bor, or من any مناطق تانية, they are abiding people. You know, they when they are told to do this, they do it. But when someone is involving, when they have somebody stronger, you know, telling them, no, don't do this, I will do this, they are likely to resist. And that's why I wanted to add, in Eastern Equatoria, there are actually some generals and some officials in the government on cattle. I want you, you know, to send a message to them as well, because it might have been those with the big power men, you know, are the one that preventing people moving back. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, you know, if you have cattle and somebody is responsible for them, and you like that person, you want your cattle also. If you keep them in Eastern Equatoria or Central Equatoria, and the person gets killed or the cattle are taken, what do you benefit? You will not have any benefit. You are maintaining the conflict. And you might lose other, even if they are not related to you. ولا يكونوا related to you. يكون ود خالك ود خالتك شنو ود عمتك ود عمك كده نسيبك. If you lose so many people all the time, يا أخي, as a community you cannot survive. So وظيفتك في الجيش ولا في civil service will not help those people. It is their cattle which is helping them. Instead of losing those cattle, or their lives, you better save them. So do not confuse. If you are telling them not to move, you are confusing them. And you might influence their decision. Yebga, let us make a unified recommendation as elders, as responsible people, within and without the government, as community leaders, that it is time for our people to move back to Bor area and not to send conflicting messages to individuals or to groups. Okay. Please stop advising. If you have been advising, I think it is a hypothesis. If you have been advising anybody not to go back to Bor area, kindly stop that and let the people move back home quickly. So that would be my advice to the people in towns who are not in the field, who are giving wrong advice. If I may give advice to Hakuma, I would say last time we had that President Kiir sent or took his cattle to Arab from Juba. لكن عشان عنده سلطة وعنده كده عنده إمكانيات شالهم بالعربات. Can he provide or can the government provide Lawari to take as many cattle back home? Wala la. If the cattle would be too many to be carried بعربات, الجيش الممكن يمشي معهم البوليس القوات النظامية can be provided يوفر لهم a means of livelihood on the way and back to their stations. لكن let them move this cattle not by force but by convincing them of the need to move away and not to come back. I need action about whatever qarar has been taken. We have heard so many times that this cattle must be moved. Lakin, we hear it again after 6 months, 1 year.
Yes.
This is not good. It doesn't show an image of a strong government or somebody who is determined to do that. It shows that you are hesitant to do it. I want to advise, please take an informed decision. You want the communities of Eastern and Central Equatoria to support the government. If you want them, kindly do what they recommend. You need the community بتاعت Jongule, بتاعت Dinkabur to support you. So preserve their lives. Who is going to vote for you tomorrow? If you are going to be a candidate, you need the people to vote and you need them in their area. Otherwise, nobody is going to vote for you if there is nobody in the area. or if there are less than 200 people, what the population بتاع جونجل. So that would be the little I would say to the حكومة والموظفين اللي فيها. anybody مسؤول المكلف بتنفيذ القرار وزاري رئاسي whatever needs to do his or her part to move the cattle and the people and help them to arrival. I know that there is, or I hear there might be some misunderstanding within Hakumat Jongule. Lakin, we need to overcome this as part of the central government. That would be the little advice I will give the cattle headers, the farmers. We need the مواطنين من المنطقة اللي يمكن يكون عندهم بقر في مرحادي. It is not everybody who has cows. No. Very few have cows. But we need a collective action and a collective will and advice so that the people move away to preserve lives and their properties.
Thank you.
I would also want to extend an advice to the Chief Administrator at Greater Pibor. If this youth can come cross Jonglei, cross Central Equatoria, and go to Eastern Equatoria and take action, this must be known, and it has been happening continuously. And it is not good. It is creating insecurity, division among our people, and it doesn't show a kind of good control في حكومة بتاعت ولاية بتاعت administrative area. I want to advise him to kindly think of ways to communicate, لأنه لو في شباب طلعوا من المنطقة هو المفروض يكون سامع، ولو سمع يخابر الجيران أو السلطات العليا في المركزية في جوبا إنه في شباب مرقوا من عندي، والحكومة يفتش الناس دي وين. They will be seen and they will be found and can be stopped. Let us make it a collective decision in favor of our unity and our future. We know that we have lost so many, we cannot recover them. Lakin, the only gift they can benefit is that we stay united and do development. What they wanted us to do when they were struggling, what they died for, is what we should do. Not to let them down and leave them to suffer where they are, because if they see things as they are, they will forever regret what they have done for South Sudan. Let us honor our heroes and heroines who have died in large numbers everywhere across Sudan and South Sudan, so that would be the honor we can give them. That would be my little and last advice.
Thank you.
I want our unity.
Yes.
We are not the only community, Malish. We are not the only community that has had or seen these conflicts. There are countries well over in Africa. We see this in Kenya. We see this in Uganda. We see this in Rwanda. We see this in other communities. The Rwandan conflict was higher than what we have. And yet they have overcome it now. يعني ما جاي من البقر, but still it is a conflict that has pitted communities against communities. But they have overcome it and they are living as brothers and sisters, as Rwandans. هسي ما في زول بيقول أنا من توتسي ولا هوتو. Everybody بيقول أنا رواندي. Can we not have that example? And how other people have resolved المشاكل القبلية اللي كان بيناتهم. It is the government that can create conditions for unity, harmony, forgiveness, reconciliation.
Yes.
And we are seeing it. What have we learned? How many times have our people gone on delegations to Rwanda? I want us to learn from the examples of our neighbors, examples elsewhere in the world. It is ذكرت قبل Longhorns البقر في تكساس أكثر من في جنوب السودان.
كتير.
والمزارعين اللي في تكساس أكثر من اللي في جنوب السودان. In the west, in the Midwest, في مزارعين كتار وفي بقر كتير برضو. ما Longhorns.
أكثر دولة عنده بقر في العالم يا أمريكا. أكثر دولة.
لكن ما حصل سمينا كونفليكت بين مزارع ورينجر. Whoever keeps cattle. Because it has been codified and well planned, well executed, well managed. Can we not manage? I want to assure or reassure my friends from Greater Bibor that لما مرقوني I was wounded in one of the battles. لكن ناس المرقوني من ده was a combination of everybody in South Sudan. Fium Murle, Fium Nuer. One of them is an officer still in active service, as of Junub Sudan. Others, Dugu Motoni. This is the unity we wanted. يعني لو كان خلوني ما يمكن كان متة وكنت بقدم شنو لجنوب السودان. يمكن my presence has given some contribution to South Sudan. We should not live as enemies. دائما بيقولوا الجيران زي اللسان مع الأسنان.
نعم. They
need each other. الأسنان بيكونوا وسخانين وبيجوم كارث لو لسان ما بنظف. لكن برضو الأسنان بعضوا اللسان. And they don't move away from each other.
Yeah.
As جيران we will continue to live there forever, and we hope to live in harmony. We need to work to live in harmony. That would be my little advice to all the communities.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador Dr. Akej. Actually, Yes, peace and harmony. This is my perspective. I have a conviction that actually, as long as we have the current government, they are the one that instigating, and plan the conflicts that we have in our country. If you go to Bahr now, there is a conflict in Bahr. It's not isolated to one region in Upper Nile, in Equatoria, everywhere. Actually, they are surviving when there is a conflict in the country. This is what we have observed for a very long time. So, peace and harmony, and in order for South Sudanese to come together and have a lasting peace, if we have, said Mr. Mayadit, in power, then we are not going to have peace. This is what I can say, and I am responsible for this because I have seen. Maybe I'm a younger generation, but I have seen him how he conducted since 2006 onward. So we will not see peace. Peace and harmony will come because as South Sudanese who care, who love, who belonged, is there among ourselves somewhere there, here, there in the country. But when this regime goes away, because they are not willing and they will not will, because I have never heard a president of the country say that he wanted to surround himself with the army and leave the citizen die. And even a president come out in a day of inauguration of a major development in the country that was developed by a foreigner, donation from JICA, and come with really a radical statement saying that I know there are some people who don't want something good to be done to South Sudan, but the best thing for you to do, just go and hang yourself. Imagine, Dr. Akej, raising good kalam zira. Imagine, with the Smith Salva Kiir gal kalam da قبل 3 يوم في inauguration ta kubri bita freedom. When he's proud, he shouldn't be proud about that bridge because that bridge actually is a donation from JICA International, company of Japan. There is nothing major, development that this government has done so far. وبعد كله ويقول للناس انت لو زعلان go and hang yourself. I wonder why women are killing themselves, men, people are killing themselves because he's instructing them. احنا ما قاعد نقول حاجه كعب ببلدنا، احنا دايرين بلدنا يكون كويس. العكس، زول اللي عمل introduce the corruption ولا mismanagement ولا السرقه, he's the one that's supposed to hang himself. I'm sincere here, But anyhow, Dr. Akej, I really will thank you. Before I let you go, I still gonna give you a chance so you can have a final statement. But I want to, to remind our viewers here, Dr. Akej, it was the last ambassador to United Sudan, to United States of America. It was the last ambassador. It was ambassador of Sudan, United Sudan, before we break away, and the first ambassador of the Republic of South Sudan to Washington, D.C., if you don't know him. So now there are some people that have questions, if your time is permit, and I want to bring those questions forward before I let you go and give you the last statement. And one of the questions that actually I've seen here written in Arabic by David Wasang. David Wasang طبعا هو كان مبشر بتاعنا when we were in Khartoum. And I hope he meant just only Nas Tabagar. طبعا he's quoting كوال مانيانج جوج وقال هنا أخي جونكور لدي سؤال للضيف، إذا كان ذلك ممكن ما هو رأيه الشخصي، لماذا ماذا ذهب إليه جنرال كوال مانيانج في قوله إن أعلى دينكا بور الرحيل إلى مناطق كوبيتا ومناطق الفراتيت في راجا في بحر الغزال. طبعا there is a context. I don't want to answer this question. I will leave it for you. But there was a context when Kwal Manyang, said that statement. I can give an example here in the United States. When we have Hurricane Katrina, and you remember that Hurricane Katrina, when wiped away the state of Louisiana and people in New Orleans, they were welcome in various states. I used to live in Utah at that time, so we have many families, thousands of people. They were moved from Louisiana because of the flooding, a hurricane. They went to Utah, some came to Washington, some went to Los Angeles, California, and so forth. And I think when there is a natural disaster and we live within the country, and I wanted to move even from Rochester, New York to Buffalo, I don't think I should be rejected because there is a national disaster in the area and we belong to one country. Unless we are trying to introduce apartheid in our country. And then we say, no, you don't belong here. You don't come here. In case of cattle herders, it's something totally different. But I want to leave this to you, Mr. Ambassador, to answer that question by David Usang. Go ahead.
Okay, before answering that question, I want to make a little comment on the statement by President Salva Kiir. I would disagree with him very much, by saying people should kill themselves. Nobody, even as a citizen, has the right to encourage people who are depressed by so many conditions to kill themselves. I think I would say this is not a responsible statement from a statesman. خليك من رئيس جمهورية. So I would like to advise him. زمان لما كنا في حركة يمكن I would advise him. لأنه أنا اشتغلت تحت رعاية بتاعته في رئاساته مرات كثيرة. So we came to know ourselves very much. I want to advise him, it is not right to advise anybody to kill himself or herself. You will find so many people listening to it, accepting it, and doing it. This is an encouragement which is not productive and which is not right. دائما العسكري بيعمل شيء بيعمل عمل. السيد رئيس الجمهورية, if you are seeing your people depressed, who they don't want this and this, show them what they should do. Will you be willing to kill yourself? If you are not willing to kill yourself, do not advise anybody to kill himself or herself. That is my object for giving you this advice. It is wrong, and I hope it doesn't repeat itself anywhere. لناس النزاع الستيتمنت زي ده ما تخلوه يمرق. Please conceal it. لكن if there was no way for you to prevent it from going out, then it is unfortunate. Somebody should have to withdraw it. A spokesman بتاع حكومة ولا في مكتب الرئيس should explain it in a different way. لو كان مايكل مكوي ولا كان أتنيوات, أي واحد منهم له المسؤولية to correct that in a way. But that would be my advice. الكويشن بتاع الكومريد, if it is, أنا ما بقرأ عربي كتير, ما بفهم عربي كتير. So I take it from what you summarize.
Yeah.
Kwon Manyang was talking about Nazahin. from مشكلة.
Yeah, Kwalmanyang actually said in one of the statements that if people in Bor or any other part of the country, if they are affected, then they have right to move in any part of the country. You know, whether
Good.
Balandaland, in Bahar Ghazal, or in Equatoria, or in Twitch, or in Nagar. So that's what I understand. But David is asking, saying that why Kwalmanyang would say that, you know, if there is any issue, people from Bor, particularly, will move to Equatoria.
Okay. I have not talked with Kwalmanyang, but if what he meant is what he said, ourselves, when we had problems in Sudan, we even moved to different regions within the Sudan. Finas Menena, Mashu, to Western Sudan. Although Asalom Masai, but they went there. Finas Harakum fi Gitarat. Finas Katulum Gatau Arjulum Kida. But they still remained in those places because that was relatively better than staying in Manatikum. Finas Mashu Uganda. Finas Mashu Zaire, Mashu Uganda, Mashu Kenya, Mashu Ethiopia. Finas Mashu Libya, Finas Mashu Masr. وده ما أول مرة إنه الكوميونيتيز نزهوا قبل كده في الستينيات a large number of people from Bor crossed the Nile ومشوا ليرول لرومبيك وصلوا لحد واو and they got a very good reception. Kwalmanyang worked في واو في would I say ده كان مصنع
تعليب الفاكهة.
أيوة. So he lived in that area until he got married there. He has enjoyed his state. I went to WOW as a student في فترة الإجازات الصيفية. عملنا معسكر when Uncle Lupai, Samuel Lupai, was the governor في واو. الناس المشوا شمالين على جنوبين, they always wanted to go back to WOW. I can't forget about that up to today. So I believe Kwalmanyang, for his love for the area, having stayed there, I don't know how many years, but I got him there when we went as students في برامج العمل الصيفي لما كنا في جامعة. So indicating anywhere في ناس نزهوا من ناصر لمدري, not for the clinic, لكن it was where there were services. في ناس نزهوا لكابويتا لتوريد from everywhere. They has ناس refused to leave from Kakuma. ولا ناس قاعدين في مراكز اللاجئين في يوغندا. So I think it is natural إنه أي مسؤول يقول لو عندك مشكلة خاصة بتاع فيضانات then you can move anywhere. الناس ديل لما اخترع لهم منقلة هم قبلوه وقعدوا فيه ومرتاحين. They are showing us the fruit of their labor. زرعوا لأنه المنطقة زي المحل اللي هم قايمين منه. You go to a place where you can make your house and make your مزرعة. أي جنوبي always cultivate something big or small. فأهلنا بيحبوا يزرعوا الذرة. فحسب الأيادي في الأسرة your garden can be big or can be small وبكفيكم لفترة من الزمن. And if there is a humanitarian organization helping you, you cannot rely on that assistance forever and all the time. في وقت assistance ده ما بيجي. But you need to go to an area where you can make use of your own experience, your own skills, your own background, and where. So if you need a piece of land عشان تزرع فيه يقدر المواطن الhost community بيقدر بيديك له or you can benefit from it. But I think it is not an encouragement for the cattle headers to move to Equatoria and occupy it. It is not an order from Kwalmanyang. Kwalmanyang has been one of the people asking المواطنين اللي راحلوا عشان يجوا راجعين. لما كان حاكم في بور طلب من الحاكم في إيسن إكواتوريا إنه يساعد لأنه ما بقدر يودي الجيش بتاعته لمنطقة تاني. It is not his right. He cannot take it to Equatoria, cannot take it to Eastern Equatoria, cannot take it to Western Equatoria. كان يجيب. وما الجفنة is not مسؤول عن الجيش.
Yeah.
I think in that context, with our flood, this is what Kwalmanyang was saying, and should be taken in that respect, not to invade, not to cause problems, because he doesn't like problems. Shukran.
Thank you, Dr. K. I'm trying to scan here if I see another question before I give you the last statement. And again, thank you for staying for this long. I know you have other, responsibility, but I really appreciate for you.
No problem.
Today. It seems like I don't see any question. If there is any other question pop up, would have, related to you. There is one gentleman actually asked a question about the MTN and people were dragged from the buses from Uganda to Juba and all these things. He was saying that is that an isolated from the cattle herders? Because right now in Eastern Equatoria, Central Equatoria, they're asking the cattle herders to be going back. What about the regular, which is average Dinka who are in those areas? They were killed in cold blood. That's the question that we was asking. Is this cattle herding to be going back linked to MTN that we have none Dinka? The Dinka were called MTN and they were killed. You were dragged from the buses. He was asking that question. I don't know if you know. And that's the only question that I've seen. And
okay. It is going to be a very difficult question to answer.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. Lanu, number one, if you say all the Dinka should leave Eastern Equatoria or Central Equatoria or Western Equatoria Kulu, then you are creating a new item in the constitution بتاع South Sudan. إنه أي مواطن من جنوب السودان ممكن يعيش في أي مكان. it would be difficult in that aspect to answer. Number two, أي مواطن from Dinkabur who has maybe decided to stay in Magui or in Torit, in Kapoita, in Nimuli, and other places, started very long time ago, and he has not been part of the problem with our cattle headers. If you say now that person must leave, on what grounds? He's not causing أي مشكلة لفارما ولا لأي مواطن آخر في جوبا. الموظفين بتاع دولة they reside in different parts بتاع جوبا. في ناس في وسين جوبا تاون، في ناس في شركات عايشين next to each other depending on where each one gets a plot. وما شرط يكون من وين، يعني انت ما بتختار جيرانك. So they happen to become جيران because of the plots given to them, not because of their work. Juba, as the national capital, everybody has the right to stay. Any citizen has the right to stay there if he or she can support himself herself. So to say, the people of Dinkabur origin في Eastern Equatoria and maybe some parts of Central Equatoria should have to be moved مع البقر مع الرعاة. To me, I think it is not correct. This is my personal opinion. And politically, it will not be correct as well. Because citizens of any country have to live together. And they are free to live anywhere. It is not based on whether they operated in that area or not. لأنه ما كل مواطنين كانوا جيش.
نعم.
لكن لو أنا اخترت أعيش في مكان because I have liked it, then if I have the means, I would go and stay there. Today, if I were in South Sudan, probably I would have gone back to Pochala. Because the 2.5 years I spent there, I loved it. I had friends between Otalo. Otalo is a village where the king at that time used to stay, and Ajwara. And it is along a branch of the river, and it is very fertile land. يعني لما تعمل لك مزرعة، أول حاجة ما في جيش بيقوم فيه خشب. I don't know what you call it. بدينكا اسمه رد. يعني زي نو.
رد ده ما هو غني، ده ما هو؟
لا
No, it's not
لا
Morgan.
أكيد
Okay, okay.
I told red is يعني بيكون أحمر كده ها بيعمل منه سمك كتير.
Oh man, yeah, yes.
أي
We don't have name because
okay you don't okay.
Not a native of English, you're not a native of Arabic. It's South Sudanese. That's why. Yeah.
أنت لو عرفت بالعربي
Mm.
ورينا برضو عشان نقدر نستفيد منه.
Yes.
ما طلع مش كده؟
ما طلع no ولا حشاب ذاته. No, it's not.
Okay.
لأنه نحن بنقول عليه في نوردن بارغازال بنقول عليه نيور أي because they has
Okay.
عنده a lot of gum عنده سمك تمام.
أيوة. فأنت لو قطعت الشجر ده وحرقت الجذور بتاعته ما في شجر بيقوم في المنطقة ده. يعني you will have a very large area just by cutting down. لما تزرعه you don't need to maintain تطلع الويتس منه بيكون نظيف. أي شيء زرعته بيقوم 10 فولد. في سمك في بداية الصيف في حيوانات كتير بيجي في المنطقة دي. So you can hunt and have store your good meat وكده. And the people are very peaceful, very friendly.
Yeah, Abdullah Garang said شجرة اسمه مسكيت. Mesquite.
Okay.
Yeah, it could be right. Yeah. Mesquite.
Okay. But this is where I will want to go to stay. And so there are people who say انت لو مشيت منطقة يورل بيكون أفيد من منطقة بتاعك اللي انت بتحكي عنه ده. وفي أماكن أنا ما شفته يمكن يكون أحسن. So it is up to the choice of أي مواطن to stay where he or she may want to live.
Yes.
And if this مواطن goes as an individual, he's not going to create problems to the community هناك. He will want to adapt. He will want to adapt.
Yes.
عندي ولد عمي مشى زمان وانا كنت صغير. I have not seen him ذاته but I used to hear about him. وكان بقى مسؤول في الكنيسة الكاثوليكية في لوا. He was one of the people washing الكنيسة. اتزوج من المنطقة من المادي ومن التولي. He lived لحد مات. after that ما رجع لبلدنا. It means he was well integrated. I don't see any reason why very few مواطنين ولا individual يختار يقعد في مكان يطرده. But that would be my comment and answer. I would want any South Sudanese to live anywhere. زمان لما كنت في السودان بعد ما اتخرجت اتنقلت للسينار. There were about 3 جنوبيين في تقاطع. الناس دي مشوا تبع الري الزراعي. Eventually, those people decided when they were transferred away to refuse النقلية. And الحكومة gave them 2 options. Either يتنقلوا لأماكن تاني or if they want يخلوا مناسبهم. عشان يجيبوا ناس تانيين.
Yeah.
So they decided all to abandon their jobs.
Wow.
On their own choice. لأنه they got implanted في community that.
And they love the area.
They love the area. They got integrated. عنده مشاريع بتاعتهم وكده. يعني زول بنى له بيت. تمشي وين؟ عندك مشروع بتدخل لمعيشة بتاعك. وعندك بيت. انت لما تمشي ترها لمحل تاني. Are you going to be building again وكده? You will be losing.
Yeah.
But they chose to stay there. I think في سينار المدينة where I was, there were three South Sudanese. واثنين باري واحد مرو. And كانوا مسؤولين عن different things. واحد مسؤول عن الزراعة كله. No, you know when you spray the malaria to kill.
الرش. مسؤول عن المبيدات والرش. Yeah.
أيوة.
Yeah.
So this was his function, and he was doing it very well. هو another person كان في الكهرباء والمياه. هو financial officer. المرو كان المسؤول عن ملاريا كنترول في خزان. اتدرج من موظف صغير لحد بقى المسؤول. So when I came, each one of them honored me separately. And I got integrated into that small South Sudanese community. But we lived like brothers and sisters. Their families, أنا كنت عزابي. I could go at any time and I would get the service I want. لو داير أكل في وقت بتاع رمضان مثلا, I will have to go.
Yeah, because مهلات كله مقفول. مهلات كله مقفول. And then you have to go to them. Yeah.
This is the unity that we want. If it was good in Sudan, it can be good also in South Sudan. And this is what happens everywhere. But it is necessary for us to accept coexistence, peaceful existence. Unless if those people are creating problems, معلش ممكن يقولوا يا فلان المنتاليتي بتاعك والطريقة المعيشة بتاعك ما نافع في المنطقة دي. فأنت أرحم. يكون advice. يكون طلب. Then ممكن يكون مفهوم. لكن to make a blanket decision إنه أي زول من أصل الدنكابور في كده ده يرحل, to me sounds a little bit complicated or maybe not politically correct. Thank you.
Dr. Akej, I really appreciate you, and I enjoy the discussion actually. You know, you being here today. Thank you so much for being part of this, and thank you for caring for the country, and you want something better, you know, for South Sudan. Coexisting, unity, you focus more on this, and that's what we want. And hopefully, people of South Sudan will rise up and open their eyes and know what is the cancer, and that cancer and need to be removed in order for everyone to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Mr. Ambassador, Dr. Akej, I want your last message, the final message to the people of South Sudan, and we call a day. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Brother John Kaur. You know, when the people of South Sudan suffer and they decide on something, when they are determined to effect a change, they do it. and they succeed. So many lives were lost before the SPLM struggle, SPLM-led struggle to liberate the whole Sudan from oppression, from injustice, from hunger, from disease, from lack of education. They managed to obtain this through their determination. I know when the South Sudanese want something, they get it. So there is hope, not at the end of the tunnel, but I see it arriving soon. The people of South Sudan have faced many challenges. Challenges which could have been resolved if we had good national leadership, a considerate leadership, an understanding leadership, a consulting leadership, taking into consideration the views and the wishes of other people. Lakin, unfortunately, that leadership is not available today. Before the conclusion of the CPA, there were crises within the SPLM. Lakin, because the leader, Dr. John, was determined to keep everything together, he sacrificed many things, including his own life. عشان يمشي President Salva ويقولوا له يا بن أنا داير أتحاور معك. Conditions set were all acceptable to him. على شرط لو بوصلوا يقعد مع سلفا ويذكروا أيام الفات والماضي بتاعتهم, anything that was requested was possible, including إنه يجي ولا يمشي لبيت سلفا بحراس بسيطين ويطلع سلاح بتاعته يديه لحراس بتاع كومريد سلفا. فلما عمل الكلام ده كله لحد ما وصل الباب, سلفا براو طلع من الروم اللي كان فيه وقال لا, لو بن داير يطلع سلاح بتاعته ويديكم وما عنده حرس معه حسي, أنا اللي بتنازل, حاكم سلاح بتاعي, هو يخش بسلاحته, يكون الوحيد اللي عنده السلاح في الغرفة ده ونقعد معه. انتوا خليكم برا, حراس والجبال خليناه في باب ده, خليهم يجي يقعدوا معكم, هو المشي ناداهم. فالسولوشن دائما بيجي من القيادة, من الرئيس, who is concerned about the welfare of his people and everything. So when there are crises, أنا بشوف في التلفزيون إنه الرئيس ما بيهتم بالمشاكل الداخلية. Instead هو يفضل يسافر برا. شخصيا كصاحبه, I think, or I was his friend. I may not be his friend today, but I was his friend in the past.
Mm.
I think it is not good. It is not good leadership at all. And the people of South Sudan will not accept this kind of leadership forever. ما جاي من corruption، لكن corruption واحد من الأسباب. If أنا أقعد في جوبا بدون ما ناخد مرتب بتاعي، أنا أشتغل كيف يعني؟ ما everybody works
Yes.
To
live,
to support himself.
Mm.
If I cannot support myself as a diplomat, if I cannot, whether inside or abroad, then something is wrong. If I cannot support myself as a police officer, I have to rely on things I will get from Motanin. It doesn't show good law enforcement, good governance. The police will not respect justice. The Gesh, Nas Sujun, Al Wildlife, everybody. Then I hope, and I may not be alone, that there would be a change.
ولكن المخرج يا دكتور معلش يعني to add that المخرج في الوقت الحالي هنا ما شايفين اي تغيير. They are adamant of staying in power, buying time, not implementing peace agreement, eluding the wealth of the nation. المخرج شنو بالنسبه لنا كلنا كمواطنين؟
There are so many ways. One of the ways that I do not like is an armed struggle. We are all tired of armed struggle. It is very destructive. Whether لجيش حكومة، لإمكانيات حكومة، أو the people who are struggling. So I will not recommend it as one of the ways, but I will not throw it away as well. I would say let us leave it as one of the other options. Lakin, the first option will be mobilizing political opinion, media, everything, leading to non-violence, to an action to make it effective change. Public awareness, as you always do. All citizens are concerned. Whether they are within the Hukuma, they are with the government or not, they are concerned because they are not getting their dues. If political action alone is not enough, then it has to be coupled with mass demonstrations. We have seen this succeed in so many countries. The Arab Spring was a result of mass action, demonstrations, sit-ins, and other things. Even it succeeded in Algeria. So this is an action which I think combined with the other political forces can lead to effecting a change. It is going to be the less costly and the most engaging, where so many people will be participating. And even if it doesn't succeed alone, I know the spokesperson of the government has said they do not have rubber bullets. They only have light bullets. So whoever is against the government, they are going to shoot him or her. But I think in some countries, people have been shot, but still they effected a change through demonstrations. So there will be loss of life, لكن بيكون أقل من armed struggle.
Yes.
I take that combination of political action, which may lead eventually to negotiations with the government. And if it doesn't throw away the government because it is a negotiation, then it will create the conditions for a change. And over time, interim period, a change will happen. So I say political mobilization and action, awareness about either wrong deeds by the government or lack of services to the people, the dire economic conditions and الناس فيها ده كله combined with مش الاحتلال public demonstrations.
Uprising, yes.
Uprising. This will be option one, the first option. And if it doesn't lead to a success over a period of time, then the armed struggle can be resorted to. Whether we have friends, الممكن يساعدونا, because بدون friends who can give you the equipment, you'll be committing suicide if you create an armed struggle. But I'm hopeful that there will be so many friends willing to help effect a change in South Sudan, whether through armed struggle or political means, that will be able to step up their support and offer means for the struggle. So I'm telling our people there is hope. It has hope. There is, if we are united, whatever we want to say, we will make it happen. So please bear with me and let us unite and work hard to effect a change. Our problems are coming from the government, لكن بنقدر نغير الأوضاع في بلدنا لصالحنا، لصالح أي مواطن في أي مكان، east, west, north of south of South Sudan. كله, it requires our collective action. Let us stand together. Stand together in talking, stand together in making an action, in demonstrating. Let us bear anything. لأنه بدون مقابل, you will never get anything. But you have to pay, you have to accept to pay a price for achieving what you want to achieve and for hoping for a change. I am hopeful. I do not want to remain and die abroad. I want to go in and live as a respectable citizen of South Sudan. Even if I cannot contribute المهم أكون مواطن في بلدي أقدر أقترح للمسؤول إنه كده ده بيكون أفضل لو عملناه كده. I'll be very proud إنه تعودت في ميادين الحرب. I paid with my blood. I paid with some of my bones for the benefit of whoever died, whoever has been disabled, whoever was not born, whoever could not come to join the struggle, but contributing in a different way. We all struggle. البرة والجوع كلنا شاركنا we gave so much for our freedom today. So we must have to protect that freedom. لازم ندافع. We are proud to raise our flag. We are proud to defend it, as our national anthem says. Hope is what I want to underline as my last word. Let us unite. There is no Bahr Ghazal, there is no Upper Nile, there is no Equatoria. There are no regions, there are no tribes. We are all one. And when we are united doing something, we succeed. Let us keep our unity. Let us keep our effort combined. It will be our force. So that is my last word.
Well, Dr. Akej, Kwaj, former ambassador of United Sudan to the United States, and the first ambassador of the Republic of South Sudan to the United States, and current member of the real SPLM, I really, really appreciate you for coming on tonight and speaking to the people of South Sudan in this very humble forum of concerned citizens of South Sudan. Of course, I do agree with you. Non-violence movement will be the answer for our problem, because soon you point the gun to your brother and there is another gun pointed at you. That will be the loss of life, and we have lost a lot for the last 22 years. So thank you so much for coming on. I really, really appreciate you being here tonight and discussing very important issues. We hope to see you next time. This is not going to be the last, and we hope to see you next time again and again. Thank you, and have a lovely night. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. God bless you and bless our forum of concerned citizens. The amount of work you are doing is very great. We will always respond positively to your demand whenever there is a topic that requires us to discuss together. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Akej. It was an honor to have you on the program. I really, really appreciate him for coming here. And with that, with the viewers of Concerned Citizens of South Sudan, thank you for listening. Thank you for being part of Concerned Citizens of South Sudan. As usual, we had a very important topic tonight, which is pastoralists and peasants. Violent escalation in Eastern Equatoria. We addressed a lot, cattle headers, communities, and the statement by the governor of Eastern Equatoria and also the Boer community leader in Juba, and how can be resolved and what needed to happen exactly. Dr. Akej articulated a lot of points, addressed so many issues that actually it is good. We don't want to lose life for those cattle headers to go back to their respective place to save life and move and find a solution at the end of the day. Thank you so much. One more time, we should keep our hope alive. Hope shall never die. As Dr. Akej put it, we can keep hoping and we keep working together collectively and unite and achieve, because South Sudanese, when they are together, as Dr. Akej put it, we are always winning, and we will win at the end of the day. So thank you for being part of Concerned Citizens of South Sudan. Thank you for watching. إلى اللقاء next week or weeks after next week. Thank you so much, and good night for now.
Africa, say it louder. Say Salam alaikum, salam alaikum, salam alaikum.